What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Hany and Rambod, with my co-host, Austin. And it is 2 days after the 2022 Texas Pro. We want to go a little bit over the results of this epic weekend.
Yeah, it was a really big one. What a show to watch.
Next level. Quality in every class was next level. Mm-hmm. Everyone's still talking about that open bodybuilding.
Yeah.
The newcomer, Andrew Jacked. There's been tons of podcasts about him. There's been tons of different features on YouTube about him. And he's definitely the real deal.
Yeah. I actually didn't get to be there on Saturday. I was there Friday, but on Saturday you were there in person. But like, what was that like when you were watching everything there? Like, how did you feel about it? Did you kind of know as soon as he
100%,
got, yeah?
100%. Like, especially from the front. Mm. Now, again, because I'm a person that likes to pick things apart, I still think he can still improve from the back. But if this was what they said it was, which I believe them, that they were doing this as a warm-up type show and they were going to go into the Arnold, he's just going to continue to keep getting better. And then he's already qualified for the Olympia. So he's got about 6 weeks to the Arnold in the UK. Then after that, he'll have another 12 weeks to get into the Olympia in Vegas. And I think that he's going to be very formidable.
He's got a lot of momentum heading into that now.
He's got a lot of momentum going into it. And I think that he's got a lot of roundness. He's got a lot of pop. His glaze was great because it really hit, that lighting was accentuated.
It was so eye-catching up there.
It was.
Every single thing you saw was just like, whoosh, you were just eyes drawn to him right away.
Yeah, and you have other guys that looked really good, like Martin, who took second, Martin Fitzwater. Best he's ever looked, working with Branch Warren. They did a great job. Was talking to Branch quite a bit throughout the show. If he would have been darker, I would have loved to see his lines, because he brought a really good package. It's just that he was so washed out that you couldn't really appreciate it so much. They did it at the end where they bumped him in front of Kuklo, but what happened was you just don't get, if he was just darker, you would have been able to appreciate more of what he was able to bring. But it was clear cut for first. Second, Martin, great improvements since working with Branch. Third place, Steve Kuklo, a bit off compared to where I've seen him in the past. He looked like he's downsized just a little bit. He lost a little bit of that pop that he had previously. I think that Steve you could tell he was disappointed.
Yeah.
You could tell he was very disappointed. Yeah. And it was right before his birthday. And I think that he would want to go into his 37th birthday with really just being like, hey, a good win, qualifying for the Olympia, then taking the momentum to the Olympia. Now it's going to be interesting because I don't know what he's going to do next. But I do know that Steve is not a person who gives up. He's a person who's going to use this as fuel to really take it and train harder, stay on top of his food, and create a game plan to try to still qualify. That's what I think he's going to do. Yeah. Now, it's not confirmed. This is just from, my mindset of knowing Steve. Yeah. He's not going to give up.
Yeah.
King Snake doesn't do that.
Dude's a hard worker.
He is.
That's one thing. I got to work with him for a few years, and just like, anything like this, like you said.
Oh, you coached him too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You worked with him too?
Back in business-wise, worked with Steve.
I know. I was giving you a hard time.
I know I look like I might have.
Yes,
but,
right.
Believe it or not, I did not. But not like...
Yeah, you're too in shape to be a guru.
Okay,
you're too young and too in shape.
You're
too young and too in shape.
Well,
that's how you know somebody's really good.
Double-sided
meaning. Oh, you're focusing so much on the other people. So God bless them. If I gain 20 more pounds, 5 more Olympias.
It's like never trusting a skinny chef kind of situation.
That's right. Never trust a skinny chef or a coach that's too in shape, because then they're not focusing enough on their clients.
Oh, yes, exactly. No, he is the kind of guy that uses that for fuel. There's just two types, people that get beaten down from it, and some are like, all right, I'm going to go into the next one even better. But yeah, it was an intense show.
It really was.
Yeah.
And what was cool was Tyler really mixed it up in regards to the actual comparisons.
Yeah.
Many times you get complaints, there's not enough comparisons. The first place should be with the 6th or 7th or 8th. And it did.
They were all over the place.
So many different comparisons, left side to right side. You didn't know, because even Andrew Jack was on the left and people were like, what is he? Is he second or third? Yeah. Because normally the guy that's going to win is in the middle. No, he was just really legitimately trying to give everybody their space and connect people in the audience and on the pay-per-view streaming so that they could see a really good show. And from everything I heard, obviously I wasn't in the pay-per-view portion of it because I was sitting right behind the judges. I was in the first row. But they said that it was really a good production. So hats off To the promoters, we got Freddie and Sheila, Battle Up. They did a great job with it. And from what I hear, they're coming back next year. And the best part about this is I didn't have to get on a plane.
Yes, exactly.
I didn't even have to drive across town.
Yeah,
it was 15 minutes from my house, 8 minutes from the Evagen office.
Let's keep that going. Let's just bring all the pro shows here.
Bring them here, guys.
We'll take them.
It would be so good. We'll take you to barbecue afterwards. We'll do a great job.
Oh, you're careful what you're signing yourself up there for. Like if they bring them all here, Hany's taking on barbecue afterwards.
We will definitely. Yeah. If I don't have to get on a plane, do you know how that would be?
That's worth it.
Every once in a while, it's okay.
Yeah.
But going to the Olympia in Vegas, or rumor has it that they might move it again. But once in a while, it's okay. But when you got to go all of these shows where you have all these trainers that are literally trying to get their people qualified and they're going from one city to the next. I used to do some of that. Now, never to the degree where these guys are doing it, these men and women trainers that are doing it because their volume is much, much more. These trainers are doing 50, 100, 200 clients. I've never had anything close to that. I had 5 or 10, maybe 15 or 20 in the off season, including my corporate / celebrity clients that were behind the scenes. So it was not the same as working with 15 or 20 athletes that all competed. Only half of those competed. I was really very focused on making sure that I was never going to stretch myself too thin.
Yeah.
Even in my peak of working with athletes as amateurs and bringing them into professional status, I would never do 5, 6, 7, 8 people in one show. It was just way too much. 2 or 3. I think I did 4 or 5 max one year where I had a couple of girls and then I had a couple of guys, and that was the maximum. And then even at the Olympia level, same thing, maybe 4 people at the Olympia between the different divisions, maybe 5.
Because you got to be real, I'm sure, focused on your specific, just every tiny little thing for each person that whole entire week, that it's just got to be chaos if you got so many.
It really is. I mean, we'll talk a little bit about that, about Andre, because he did the show. And that week was like the Olympia all over again. Checking photos throughout the days, leading up to it, the week leading up to it, getting together with him because he stayed here about a month out between here and going back and forth a couple times to Houston, that we ended up doing the Houston show, where the expo. But going into the open, because I want to finish that. Third place, Steve obviously wasn't at his best, but he's going to come back stronger. Fourth place, Kamal. Kamal took second the week before, and I didn't know there was that much controversy until I got to the show, because everybody was talking about it. I saw only pictures. I didn't watch the live stream, and unfortunately I did not go to the show. But for those people that were there, half of the people that I've spoken to thought that Kamal could have won.
And we're talking Tampa.
Yeah. Right. So we're not talking about Texas. We're talking about the week before in Tampa. And because of his conditioning versus Akeem, I saw pictures. Akeem's a monster. So I can see why they would go with a bigger guy. You see that at the Olympia? Hany versus Big Ramy. They put Hany, then Brandon Curry, then the Hany third. It's happened a couple of times where they put in bigger athletes. They're not necessarily more conditioned. They're not necessarily proportioned as well, but they're just size monsters. And I think that's what happened, because I also was just doing a podcast as a guest for Dennis James's podcast. Milos was on there, as well as Darren Charles. And they were talking about it. And they said, Hany, what did you think of it? And I said, I'm not going to put my 2 cents in the hat because I didn't watch it. But from the pictures, what I saw, again, I could see why Akeem won, but a lot of people thought that the conditioning was so good for Kamal that there was this, for sake of argument, it could have went the other way. Some of these shows, it's a coin flip.
Exactly.
And it depends on just what they're looking for that particular day. But if it's somebody that's got size, they usually go with bigger bodybuilders.
Well, in your opinion, this might be an impossible question, but if you were to have to choose between, say, a mass monster in solid condition compared to maybe a smaller guy, maybe a 212 guy, but he's in ridiculous condition, do you have a way that you would go as far as
how I would weight that?
How, like a way that you would go, and depending on, do you reward conditioning or do you reward size?
I think it depends on the athlete.
Yeah.
Because Kamal, I'm going to use Kamal as an example. He doesn't have the best shape. He's a little more on the blocky side. He doesn't have the best shape. So he loses out a little bit on that, but he's 51, 52 years old. He's got grainy muscle. He's still got great skin texture for being in the 50s. So you got to give it to him for doing that, but he's still 216, 218, I believe. He was at the Texas Pro. So he's still not a super big guy. And I believe he's like about 5'4". But when you're talking about that versus a guy that's going to outweigh you by 40, 50 pounds, they can give up some of that ripped graininess because of their size, especially if they have those crazy quads and then the person next to you doesn't have them. They're a little bit more straight up and down like Kamal's is. So, but once again, I don't want to pass judgment because I didn't even watch the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, the streaming live cast. What I did was I just saw some of the photos and I said, oh, okay. You know, Kamal was in really good shape, very good. And Akeem was just big as a house.
Yeah. I think that if these last two shows especially are anything to kind of go off of, Tampa and Texas, it's kind of shows maybe a little bit of what they're leaning towards. Now, maybe if it's a different smaller guy like Clarita or something that might go differently. How tall is Fitzwater? Do you know? Because I know that Andrew
Fitzwater is like a junior Branch. He's not, I think, that much taller than Branch. Okay. I think they're about the same height, or maybe he's a little bit taller, but not by much.
Because Kuklo and Andrew are both tall guys.
Yes.
6+, right?
Yes.
6 foot or around there. Or,
Andrew's probably closer to 6'1", 6'2".
Wow. Okay. So yeah, both bigger guys. So up there next to Kamal, it's definitely going to be,
it's
big
size difference. Right. And again, he doesn't have the best shape in regards to that taper. So it just depends. And then now with this show, Tampa, Kamal was in 4th here in Texas, but there was also a lot tougher lineup here than there was in Tampa, period.
It's impressive still, no matter what, because it's just in every class, like you said earlier, it was just stacked in every class. It was hard to see where it was going to go sometimes.
I think that the biggest thing is that the depth of the show, so many different divisions, they hosted so many different athletes.
It's like 180 plus pros.
Almost just under 200 pros. And when you look at all of that, then they also had the amateur show.
Yeah.
It was a 2-day show. With all of the things being said, the quality was better than, I would say, 90% of the shows to date for this year.
Even the judges said that. I think that whenever physique was coming off, they said one of the best lineups that we've had all year, or something along the lines, or the best.
No, I think it was the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was I was looking around. I was like, I don't know if anybody realized that's a big statement.
Right. That was after, I believe, like you said, physique.
Yeah.
That was so deep. 6, 7 of the guys were just amazing.
32. Wasn't it 32 total?
Yeah. In the top 6 or 7, I think had all previously been to the Olympia.
Yeah.
Almost all the ones that I can remember seeing. And the winner there, Daniel, great physique, great midsection, super dry and really on point. Brought it. I think he was even tighter here than he was the previous week when he won Tampa. And that's who was battling it out after prejudging. And I told Andre the same thing. I said, he's got a great midsection. You've got great shape. Andre came in looking really good, but doesn't have that dryness in the midsection as Daniel, but he's got a better back than Daniel did. But the midsection is what draws your eyes to it. That's what at least I said. After prejudging, I said, your eyes are drawn to Daniel's midsection. But I think it was a great show altogether. I mean, everybody in the top 5, top 6 looked amazing.
Yeah.
And again, not even just that physique class, the men's open bodybuilding, the women's pro division physique. It was so deep.
Yeah. Classic was great. 212 was fun to watch. Just, pretty much like you said, we keep saying it over and over again, but just every single class was really enjoyable.
And if you haven't watched any of the videos, I don't know if you can go back. You might want to check to see if you can go back to watch the simulcast to see if it's available. But I'm sure if it's not, you can go see on YouTube. There's tons of different clips that they've used to break down the show. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure you can go in there and check it out. NPC News Online has great pictures. JM Mannion was there. He was taking photos.
And just a quick plug, we also had 6 Evogen athletes there also, which was awesome to see everybody. Everybody looked phenomenal. We had, just name off, we had Lily, we had Anya, Carla, Zach, Callie, and Andre. So, it's definitely, of course, when we have Andre up there, it's like big time, but to make sure that we have everybody else in there, that we really had, 3 stellar women and 3 stellar guys up there that really killed it.
Yeah, the team did a great job. Yeah. I think Zach, we did some really cool photos with him.
Yeah.
He's another guy, really amazing midsection with really a ton of detail. Still working on some other parts of his body that he said that he wanted to work on, and he continues to keep improving as well. So all these guys did a great job. I think that all in all, what we're going to do is everyone's going to look at Andrew Jacked as someone who's going to be really amazing, but it's just a matter of how fast is he going to ascend? I think that's going to be the question.
Because I think that's been one of the most exciting things of recent years is there's been quite a few folks who have just shown up and just had that really fast acceleration. Just kind of almost seemed like they've just come out of nowhere. Kind of the Nick Walkers or people like that that have been around.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. Nick Walker, same thing happened, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he won the New York Pro, then he won Arnold, then he was top 4 or 5 at the Olympia. Mm-hmm. So you got back to back to back. He did really, really well. And I think that people are going to look forward to wanting to see these guys all battle it out. Yeah. And then the speech afterwards was really good because he was just talking like, hey, I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to go ahead and, take it next level. So
we'll see how long it takes for Blessing to come after after Andrew.
Yeah, they're both Nigerian.
That Blessing's going to pop up and throw some names out there. He likes to poke the bear.
So it'd be interesting to see that because he does. I think he indiscriminately goes. I don't know. We'll see if he goes after his own countrymen there. And I think that it's going to make the show that much more exciting.
Yeah.
So you have a couple of really good newcomers. Quentin, let's talk about him.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I don't want to forget about Quentin.
Yep.
Quentin has got a great future. Another one, I think he's 26 years old and he's a monster and he still needs to be a bigger upper body, but you gotta remember monster in terms of height, great quads,
crazy shape.
Just needs to grow into his quads and his back and his chest is going to continue to improve. It's going to take a little bit of time because it's such a big frame. But from what I heard during my last podcast I did a couple hours ago with Dennis James, I think it was Milos that said that I believe that Andrew is like in his mid 30s. So if you take someone like Quentin, who's 26, and you start putting some really good size on him with that shape,
dangerous.
He might even be more dangerous down the road than Andrew because he's got crazy shape. He just needs to be able to
time.
It just needs time.
Yeah.
It's 26.
Yeah.
And then there's a baby.
Big Bad Bundy up there too. It's like
Big Bad Bundy was somebody else that I had mentioned during a couple of the interviews that I did with Muscular Development. I thought he did really well. Just needs a little bit more thickness in his back. Very impressed with him. And so these guys are all just brought it. And normally we see like 1 or 2 guys that are really good, one standout, or maybe like top 2 or 3. I mean, you go deep. We have 6, 7 people that looked absolutely phenomenal in one class.
Yeah.
And as weak as they've been talking about open being, this was really nice. This was really good to see.
There has been a lot of that thrown around.
Oh, people talking shit. A lot of people talking shit, how bad it is, how weak it is, and how everybody from the 212 is going to come over here and just like take over and infiltrate the open.
The class has kind of just been like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
And then they showed up all of a sudden with this much.
They did.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, Fitzwater brought it. He's also young. He's 25, 26 years old, I believe.
Yeah.
He's also local. You have 26-year-old Quentin. And then you also have some others that are just right in the top 10, 12. They all look great. So again, kudos to everyone there. Going back to the men's physique, so deep there. I think Andre also, some of the feedback from the judges was to bring his arms down.
So what's kind of the plan with that? Like
he hasn't really been training his arms, but it's just that he also trains his back so hard that his arms kick in. So he's just going to have to work on that. So I got a couple of ideas to work around that and continue to really de-emphasize his arms a bit. But I do see other people, other competitors that do have some pretty good size arms.
Yeah.
But I also think you got to see what fits your frame. And when you have longer arms like Andre, you have to try to make sure that you fill in that long arm. So we're going to do what we can to downsize that and continue to keep chiseling away at his midsection, chip away at it. But I thought his back really made some tremendous improvements. I feel like his chest stayed fuller where it continues into his upper chest continues into his shoulders so that it's not so just shoulder and arm dominant as he had before. It was just a lot tougher lineup now. Yeah. Everyone continues to keep getting better in this division. Look how much it's changed since Mark Anthony won it.
Oh, night and day. It's just completely different shape. It's what they look for is different. And I think that that's also what I was hearing on the day of the show between prejudging and finals was everybody was thinking that they were just two completely different looks. That's why it was kind of up in the air. Is they both had different strength.
Completely
But
different.
it was just like apples and oranges.
When you say apples and oranges, that's literally it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, kudos to everybody. Now, what's going to happen next is everyone's going to start thinking about, well, if I was going to go do the UK Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hollingshead is supposed to be doing that show.
That's going to be an interesting one.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you're going to have to think, oh, who else was thinking about doing that show? I don't know if Nathan Diasha was planning on doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to see if there was anybody else that was planning on doing it, because now you might be going, oh, I'm going to go up there and have a chance of winning because I can take out this person or this person. Well, now you have this person coming in, mm-hmm. and you might be going 100 miles an hour into a Mack truck. So again, I only see him getting better. So there's going to be some probably adjusting of show schedules if some of these athletes were thinking that they were going to go in there with an easy win. This is not going to be an easy win.
How many qualifiers do we have between now and then?
We have to go back and look. I have to go back and look because they were carrying it up until I believe a month out from the December, the second week of December date of the Olympia is the qualifier. So they're going to cut it off about a month out, so that they have enough time to get everybody their flights, their hotels, everybody situated. So anything within the 3 or 4 weeks of that will qualify for the following year.
Got it. Yeah, because things this is heating up to be one of just the most interesting Olympias. You know, of course, there's always been different, team ups, different whatever it might be that have made them interesting for different reasons. This one, I think, is almost just odd in a way that's making it super excited. It's just there's like newcomers, there's people who are falling out of certain placings and just shooting up in certain placings, and we have more social media feuds, and we have so many things happening that's just making this Olympia just seem like it's going to be a really, really interesting one. Yeah,
because you can't forget the previous story was going to be you had Ian versus Hunter versus Nick. Those were the three guys because you see a lot of them together on the podcasts, on Fuad's podcast. And so when you see a lot of those, then you start to group them together. But now you have these outside influences, outside of even Hany, right? That is going to say, well, who else, how is this guy? How's Blessing going to do?
Yeah.
Well, now how is Andrew going to do? So now these people, on top of the two other veterans that were first and second, because you have Big Ramy, who just did an update. So let's talk about him. Yep. He came out looking, much improved versus where he looked like last year, and a really good starting point. Then you also have, we haven't seen much of our prior Mr. Olympia,
Brandon
Curry. So Brandon obviously is going to be starting to really catch his stride because he had to take some downtime after the Arnold. We all saw that at Jim Mannion's show. Again,
that was kind of the last update we saw, correct? I think so.
From the most part. Yeah. I don't think we've seen anything recently, but he's going to be in much better shape because deservedly so, he needed some time off. Yeah. He needed to rest his body.
People judge that so much sometimes. It's just like, come on, time.
You guys stop it.
Yeah.
Stop. Yeah. You're not going to always look like that. And if you do, you're going to burn your body out.
Yeah.
So for him to take some rest was the right thing to do. Now he's going to go off and start building up his momentum. You got these other guys. You got Big Ramy, who just showed that he is in his best off-season shape ever. You're going to have, obviously we saw some videos of Hany. Hady's putting some size on. So he's working out really, really hard. And we'll do a separate podcast within a Hany update.
Yeah.
And I feel that there needs to be a focus on new versus older
I was
veteran.
Just thinking that. I'm like, when you started listing all that, I'm like, it really is just like two categories exactly of brand new, like young blood.
It's like Marvel Civil War.
It is. Oh yeah, it is. This is going to be, it's going to be exciting.
So,
and then there's Blessing Awodabu running around and
we're trying to figure out what character he plays.
Poking at everybody.
Yeah, he's going around poking at everybody. Yeah. So I think that when you look at it, I can't wait to figure out which one's Black Panther. But anyway, so I'm a huge Marvel fan, so we got to run around and figure that out. But yeah, well, I don't want to go
drop it in the comments. We'll just do that route.
Yeah, we got to say, who do you think the athlete would basically jive up to if you had to marry up an athlete with an X-Man?
I'm gonna throw Derek out as Captain America. Just kind of seems that
he is kind of Captain America-esque,
good old fashioned American boy kind of Indian.
No, that's C-Bum, dude.
That's he's Canadian.
Captain Canada.
Captain Canada.
Captain America is Derek.
Just drinks maple syrup and says A after everything.
Yeah. We have. No, he's not like that. But what's funny is the fact that Derek would definitely probably make it.
Oh, we're in Captain Canada.
I like how I say probably, maybe. Definitely, probably. But he would make Captain America. He should do that for Halloween.
That's a big Captain America. That's
It's either Derek.
He puts the shield on his back. You don't even see the shield.
It's
anymore.
either that or you're gonna be Captain Helix.
Yeah, we could make that happen.
Yeah. So
it's gonna be a big one. Well, yeah.
Would Hany be Wolverine because of the hair?
Well, I could see that. Shorter guy too.
Yeah.
Wolverine's kind of a small guy. Yeah, I think that one person that always takes Black Panther is Rough Diesel. He does that a lot in his posing.
Does he?
He has some artwork done of him being Black Panther. So I might have to give that one to him because he's already kind of branded that one. So okay. Take that from him.
All right. Yeah. So drop it in the comments below. Let us know where you'd marry up the athlete with the mutant.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there already is the mutant.
Juggernaut. That's
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut. That's it. The mutant is Juggernaut or the Thing.
The Thing would work. Yeah. Wow, we just totally derailed into Marvel Zone.
We did a good job on the other stuff, so we have to go on the creative side.
Exactly. That's an interesting one. I would be curious to see what the comments say about that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an interesting one.
Captain Canada.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't even know if there's such a thing. Is there such a thing?
There's Captain Britain. I don't know if there's a Captain Canada. Is there? Spider, there's one? Okay. Got it. He's nodding yes. Apparently there's a Captain Canada.
Spider, if anybody knows, our sound engineer here, our video and sound podcast engineer, is a huge comic.
He's just a really, really nice version of Captain America. Just very polite.
And likes maple syrup.
Maybe has a little bit of a lisp. Just a tiny bit.
Stop.
Bumstead's got to come on now and defend himself.
Stop. Okay. All right. So as we digress,
yes,
let's talk about a couple of other things.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, about the pressures of getting ready for these shows. I would honestly like to see a way. I know there's a lot of shows here. There's pressure, there's costs associated with it. I think there would be great if we can try to figure out some ways to try to up some of the prize money.
Mm-hmm.
And especially on this men's physique side, I think that if we can get some different ideas, I really want to be able to see if there's some different ways of being able to do that, because I know that I'm sure even in bikini, we have to look at some of these things. People are putting a lot of money into these shows.
A lot.
And I feel like there's some different things that we could be able to be doing to trying to get more sponsors. As again, we're going through a recession here now, so it might not be the best time, but just to kind of go a little bit more forward thinking with things. I know that one of the things that some of the promoters are doing is they're actually having parts of the show being sponsored.
Yeah.
To be able to
classes,
help. Classes, all of those things. And I think that should be discussed. Maybe we'll bring Freddie on. We should bring Freddie on.
Super interesting.
Yeah. Let's bring Freddie and Sheila on and discuss it a little bit, because I think that there can definitely be there's different conversations about how can we figure out how to increase prize money? How do we get more companies involved, even outside of just supplements and some of the other things? Because I used to see the manufacturers at the shows. I used to see, when I say the manufacturers, I'm talking about like the equipment manufacturers at the shows.
Yeah.
You see Hammer Strength, you'd have Panada, you'd see those, and bringing those back, getting those back involved, and not just at the Olympia, but also on the local or the localer. Is that a word?
More local
shows. Getting those involved. I think those are things that we should definitely talk to them about and figure out where they're hitting friction points to be able to help garner more money to help all of the athletes.
Yeah, because it'll go and it's it'll circle around. It's kind of like
more
the
money. Ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly.
It becomes more rich. So I think that's the thing. I mean, I know even with myself, right? I don't have the bandwidth to be able to work with athletes at the ability. I mean, to run Evogen and do all the other things that I do. Yeah. I can't work with a bunch of people. So that's why I came out with my app.
Mm-hmm.
So now with the app, I can turn around and give people information, workouts. We have nutritional guidance in there. For those of you that keep asking me, hey, how can I get a training program? If you want some access to my information, just go to my app. The link is below. Mm-hmm. I put it in there. Now, actually, I even came out with a new, get a chance for 2 weeks for free to be able to try out the app.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting together a promo on that end for the people to be able to try it, see if they like it. So they don't have to commit. So I'm going to go ahead and put a coupon in there too, so that they can try that out. But I'm doing that because I just don't have the bandwidth to be able to do 30, 50, 100 programs. And so the app was an outlet so that I can connect, because so many people message me in my DMs and say, can I get a workout? Can I get some information? Can you coach me? Can we do this? And I think that more of us have to think outside of the box to be able to work with other people in different ways, and how to bring other companies like the equipment manufacturers, the cardio manufacturers, the accessory manufacturers. Gasp was there. Saw Michael. He big part of the community out here in the Dallas area, because he's based here as well, but he's also does a lot of other things as well outside of just the Dallas shows. So I think that we need to just make sure that we're really focusing on brands. If you are listening to this podcast, you follow bodybuilding. Focus on the brands that are focused on you, that are willing to give these opportunities for sponsorships and bring you in as a team member to some degree, whether it's an ambassador, whether it's an athlete. I think all of these things will help liven up the ecosystem and create more opportunities. So if you're listening to the podcast, try to focus on brands that focus on bodybuilding, fitness, any of those divisions that you're into, especially if it's just, or just in general in the IFBB Pro League, NPC shows, all of those things, because people forget. Spend your money on and your hard-earned dollars on the brands that you believe in the most. Yeah.
And you can tell right now, as far as just within bodybuilding itself, which I mean, just all divisions, there's just a few key brands that are really showing up right now. There's not as many as as there used to be. There's a few ones that are really showing up consistently at a lot of these shows.
A lot of the big brands have bailed.
Yeah.
You know, BSN, all of those companies, when they were owned by Chris Ferguson and Scott James, it was different than it is now. So some of these companies are in a different place because they're marketing to just regular people that just want to go to the gym for the weekend. Not to people that are listening to this podcast or listen to these other podcasts that have to do with bodybuilding in our NPC IFBB world that we're in. So I think that if you focus on those things and you want to spend your hard-earned dollars, especially now during a recession, it would go a long way, because think of all of the free content we give away. How many videos do I produce and shoot with the athletes that we paid to, pay for? Yeah. We have videographers there. We have people doing social media there. We have like 2, 3, 4 people, and we're constantly giving out all of these things.
And it's just blasted out.
It's blasted out.
No paywall, no nothing like that. Just
nothing.
Dump it out there.
And we do that because what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you added value so that you can be able to get yourself to a better place. Now, I'm spending even more time with this app and trying to develop more information that's going to be more specific. So if you want to turn around and get that information, then it's a little bit of money. But when it comes to all of these brands that are doing these things, if you're watching their videos, then support them. Yeah. Because there's so many other brands that people go out and just buy these random brands at Costco. And if you have a choice, first of all, these brands, I'm not going to speak for every single brand that's in bodybuilding, but just most of them will go out of their way to try to make products at a higher level. I work on products to be able to make the best physiques in the world get better. So I formulate for that to happen so that I can have a better result with my athletes or athletes that use our products. There's certain brands that do that. Other ones are just all about just the money, and they just
making the cheapest protein possible.
Exactly. They're not trying to put in the highest quality ingredients. They're not trying to put innovative ingredients to be able to get you to the next level, to get your body 3D, or to get it lean, or to get it dry, or to get it healthy. They're just worrying about their bottom line because it's run by accountants. Yeah. So what I'm just saying is, just with this, being able to see these athletes, some of them are getting like $500. That's like 2 tanks of gas in a Raptor, right? In an F-150 or in a, 3 or 4 tanks of gas also in a smaller car. But it's just like, what does that really cover for all of those? We do this for passion, but it would be nice if we can try to get more sponsorships involved and get some of these other companies. And if you can turn around and feed that ecosystem, we can do that.
And they're pro athletes. That's the thing, is it's not, this isn't the amateur level. I know these are the pros competing on this stage to go for a top prize, that the top prize might cover their flight and hotels, for a portion of that time. Right. It's like one of the, I was trying to think about it here. I was trying to think of, are there any other really sports that I can think of where you have to invest so much of your own money
I'm sure there are
into this. Yeah.
I'm sure there are. We just
at a pro level though, you know,
I'm sure that there still are.
Yeah.
I mean, look at fighting. How many, you know, how many people in MMA?
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many MMA fighters. So I'm sure there's tons of different divisions and I should say different associations and different kinds of sports out there that only a certain percentage of the top pros actually make money. The rest of it, you're spending money. But I just feel that when you look at the industry as a whole, think of bodybuilding.com. How many people actually competed that bought product there? Very few, right? But there's a lot of fans, but they're just they were being fed, especially at its peak, they were just being fed like whatever was like buy one, get one free or any promo driven stuff. And a lot of that stuff would actually not be the best quality because they're just giving this shit away because for a reason, because they had so much margin built into those products that they would just give them away. Buy one, get two free, buy one, get three free. Well, what does it cost? Or you get a luggage set with $75 or more, spend $100 and you get a sponsorship with a flight to Hawaii, or you get a tracksuit. Some of those things is because the quality of the products aren't that good. So I think that when you look at it, there are some different sports out there that it does cost. You got to pay to play
for sure.
But I think that when you look at how much revenue this industry generates when it comes to products and all the brands and all of the different types of clothing and merch opportunities and everything else, I think it would be really nice to bring it into people that are actually focusing their marketing and their support into our industry.
Would you say that is more, I guess you could say probably on the entire ecosystem, but would you say that initially that's more on the brands or more on the consumer to choose where they're putting their money?
Consumers where they spend their money.
Yeah.
Because they know that people are like, hey, I'm spending my money where I'm watching my content.
Yeah.
You're going to see a big difference. And then if you see those people that are trying to reinvest that into signing more athletes, then it's going to be able to create more of that ecosystem. It's just a trickle down effect. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've thought about that. I've something shifted in my mind a while ago when I heard an influencer online talk about how if you appreciate somebody, like you mentioned earlier, think about investing something in them, whether it's buying a t-shirt or whatever that might be. Because, we spend $15 a month like it's nothing on Netflix. But, we watch a YouTuber.
I don't even think it's $15 anymore, is it?
Is it? I thought it was 10 or $15.
No, I think it went up. But
then I got to check my Netflix balance.
Maybe I got super Netflix. But there's so many different things you spend money on.
Yeah.
And now you turn around and you're buying the products anyways. You're buying all the clothing, whatever the brands are. So bring it back to the things that you really care about the most. And if you're utilizing resources from them or you're getting that value, that added value, then you're going to do that. Because if you don't, it'll either go away or it's going to end up going behind a paywall.
Yep.
And that's what's going to end up happening.
Yeah, it's going to happen anyway.
Exactly. So either it's just because it's not sustainable to keep giving out tons of free information if that company that's out there that's doing that. And I've seen so many companies in bodybuilding come and go through the last 25, 30 years of going to the Olympia. I watched so many companies that used to do these big booths and then they're gone.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, they're gone, but they're just monstrous booths. And they then 2 years later, you don't even hear about them.
It's crazy how fast that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So again, I think that is some food for thought. Let us know what you think. And again, if you want to get a chance to use my app, I'm going to go ahead and be putting the code down below. Go ahead and give it a try. Let me know what you think. I'm going to be adding more modules to it. And I'm super excited because now I have more time to be able to put into more content for you. So Austin, thank you so much. That was a great wrap up.
Yeah.
Hany, Rambod, Austin, and that's the truth.